Welcome to Life in Kangaroo Land. If you have been following this series, then you know that we've already covered the Australian citizenship format and the Australian values section in the previous episodes. If you're new here, then make sure to check those out. This series will prepare you for your Australian citizenship test. In today's episode, we will be covering Australia and its people. A quick disclaimer before we proceed. This video is based on my personal interpretation of official Australian Citizenship, a Common Bond booklet. It is intended only as a study guide. I'm not an authorised migration agent or a government representative. I do not guarantee any pass rates for the citizenship test. I take no responsibility for the outcome of your individual test or citizenship application. Always consult the official and current Department of Home Affairs materials for definitive answer and their website for any changes and up-to-date information. So let's start off with the first people. About 65,000 to 40,000 years ago, the Aboriginal people arrived in Australia. They believe that their stories are central to the land and commence with the beginning of time. Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people were the first inhabitants of Australia. Aboriginal people are from mainland Australia and Tasmania, whereas the Torres Strait Islander people are from the islands between the northern tip of Queensland and Papua New Guinea. Even though Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people were the first inhabitants in Australia, when the Australian population count was done in 1901, which was about 4 million, they were not included in this population count. It was not until 1976 that the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people were actually included in the Australian population count. This was a result of a referendum that happened in 1976. I've noticed that many of you are watching these videos every week, but you haven't subscribed yet. If you're finding this content helpful and it's supporting you in your Australian journey, please make sure to hit that subscribe button. It really helps the channel grow and allows me to keep creating these useful resources for you. So take a second now, click subscribe, and let's continue this journey together. Referendum means a practice where people vote to change the Australian Constitution. From that, it was seen that the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people make up to 3% of the Australian population, and they have about 100 different languages. Let's move on to Australian state and territories. Each state and territory also have their own flag. While we're working through each state, I will show you the flag for that state. During my Australian citizenship test, I didn't get a single question around the flags related to states and territories. If you did get questions around states and their flags, let me know in the comments below. Australia has 6 states and 2 mainland territories. The 6 states are New South Wales, Victoria, Queensland, Western Australia, South Australia and Tasmania. Each state and mainland territory have their own capitals. For your exam, it is essential to know the capital of each state, the national icon, what their speciality is and some special information, because you will be asked questions based on these points. So let's have a look at that according to each state. New South Wales. The capital of New South Wales is Sydney. The national icons in New South Wales are Sydney, Harbour Bridge and the Opera House. It was the first colony to be established by the British and it is also the nation's largest city. Victoria. Capital of Victoria is Melbourne. The national icons are Melbourne Cricket Ground, 12 Apostles and the Royal Exhibition Building. It is also the smallest mainland state. Victoria is also home to many fine buildings that were created during the gold rush of 1850s. Queensland. The capital is Brisbane. The national icon could be the Great Barrier Reef, which runs along the eastern coast. It's got dry inland with tropical rainforests and temperate coastal areas. To its north, you've got the Torres Strait Islands. It's also the second largest state. Western Australia. The capital of Western Australia is Perth. The national icons are Ningaloo Coast, Margaret River and Kimberley region. The southwest is a wine-growing region and rich in agriculture. To the east, you'll find the desert and it is a home to many large mining operations. It's also the largest state. South Australia. Capital of South Australia is Adelaide. The main icons are the Flinders Range and the Barossa Valley. There are many famous wine regions in the state. It's got a rugged coastline and has abundant of colonial architecture. Tasmania. The capital is Hobart. The icons are Cradle Mountain, Port Arthur and Bays of Fire. Tasmania has got unspoiled landscapes and it's separated from the mainland by the Bass Strait. It's also one of the smallest states. Australian Capital Territory. The capital is Canberra. Canberra is also the capital of Australia. It's located between Melbourne and Sydney. It has several national institutions like the Parliament House and the High Court of Australia. Northern Territory. The capital of Northern Territory is Darwin. It's got tropical environment in the north and dry red desert in the south. The national icons are Uluru, Katha and the Kings Canyon. Given that you're preparing for the Australian Citizenship Test, you can be asked about the states and territories in a different way. Like, what is the smallest state? So let's cover that part as well. Nation's largest city is New South Wales. Smallest mainland state is Victoria. Second largest state is Queensland. Largest state is Western Australia. And the smallest state is Tasmania. When I was preparing for my exam, I always used to get confused between the smallest mainland state and the smallest state. And I know a lot of people also get confused, so make a note of it. The smallest mainland state is Victoria, and the smallest state is Tasmania. Another key difference to note is the largest state is Western Australia, whereas the nation's largest state is New South Wales. Australia has two cultural practices, one of which is performed by the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people. This is called Welcome to Country. Welcome to Country is normally performed by a local Aboriginal or Torres Strait Islander custodian. The purpose of this custom is to welcome visitors to the traditional land. If there is an event, this tradition would normally open that event, so it is the first agenda item. While Welcome to Country is performed by a local Aboriginal or Torres Strait Islander custodian, acknowledgement of country can be performed by anyone. This tradition is about recognizing that the gathering that's happening is on the Aboriginal or Torres Strait Islander land. It's about paying respects to the elders, past and present, paying respects to all traditional custodians, and paying respect to any Aboriginal or Torres Strait Islander people that may be in attendance. It can be delivered by anyone. So, for example, if there is an event, it can be delivered by the Masters of Ceremony. Or if it's a meeting, it can be delivered by the chair. Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people also have their own flags. These are officially recognized and can be flown in the community along with the Australian national flag. The Aboriginal flag has black at the top, red at the bottom, and a yellow circle in the middle. The black represents the Aboriginal people. Red at the bottom represents the earth, and the yellow circle represents the sun. Torres Strait Islander flag is green, blue, black, and white. The green represents the land. The blue in the center represents the sea, whereas the black lines represent the Torres Strait Islander people and the white represents peace. In white, we've got the dancer's headdress, which is a symbol for all Torres Strait Islander people. And then within that, we've got a 5-pointed star, which represents the island groups in the Torres Strait. Even though the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander flags are officially recognized and flown in the community, Australia's official flag is the Australian national flag. Let's have a look at this one. But before we do that, remember that states and territories actually have their own flags as well. The Australian national flag is blue, white and red. On the top left-hand corner is the Union Jack, the flag of United Kingdom. It represents our history of British settlement and the laws that we've inherited as a result of that. Underneath the Union Jack is the Commonwealth Star. This star has 7 points, representing 6 states and 2 territories. On the right is a group of stars seen in the southern sky, called as the Southern Cross. This makes up the Australian national flag. In my experience from the Australian Citizenship Test, you will get a question around flags. This could be around the meaning of the colors or the placement of symbols. So make sure to remember these. Along with the national flag, Australia also has a number of national symbols. Let's have a look at these. Commonwealth Coat of Arms. It is the official symbol of Australia representing national unity. If you see a Commonwealth Coat of Arms, you know that it identifies the authority and property of Commonwealth of Australia. The shield in the center represents 6 states and federation. A kangaroo and an emu support the shield on both the sides. Both are native Australian animals. Sitting above the shield, you've got a gold Commonwealth star. And in the background, you've got the golden wattle, which is Australia's national flower. Let's have a look at that. It is a small tree that grows mostly in southeastern Australia. It flowers in spring with like little golden flowers and has got bright green leaves. Again, it's the national flower of Australia. On a side note, each of Australia's states and territories also have their own flower emblem. But for my citizenship test, there actually wasn't a question that was asked around these. If it did come for your test, let me know in the comments below. Australia's national gemstone is opal. According to Aboriginal legend, the colours of opal were created after a rainbow touched the earth. And the final one is Australia's national colours. They are the colours of the golden wattle, green and gold. You might have noticed that the national sports team uniforms are also normally green and gold. Australia also has a national anthem and it's called Advance Australia Fair. Like most other national anthems, it is sung on important national days, like a major sporting event or citizenship ceremonies. We are doing a series on Australian Citizenship Test Preparation to get you all ready for your citizenship test. So make sure to subscribe and follow along. For the test, I don't think you have to memorize the whole national anthem, but you do need to know the name. But it's a good idea to know the national anthem of the country you're going to become a citizen of. With that covered, let's take a step back in history and look at formation of Australia through the European settlement. In the year 1788, on 26th of Jan, 11 convict ships called as the First Fleet arrived in Australia from Great Britain. They arrived in the new colony of New South Wales. The people who arrived on these ships were all convicts because at that time the British laws were quite harsh and their prisons were getting full. This event marked the start of the European settlement in Australia. 26th of Jan is also Australia Day. It's one of the biggest public holidays in Australia. Australia Day is about acknowledging the contributions that every Australian makes to the nation. On this day, there are various events across Australia, including special citizenship ceremonies. Mine was actually on Australia Day. If you would like to know what to expect during your Australian citizenship ceremony, then I've made a video for you. Make sure to check it out. On this day, which is on Australia Day, the Prime Minister also announces Australian of the Year award in Canberra. After the arrival of the First Fleet came the people from Ireland and Great Britain. These were not convicts, they were just normal people like you and me, what we called the free settlers. As more of these people started coming, more colonies were established across Australia. In 1851, gold was discovered in the colonies of Victoria and New South Wales. As the news got around that there is gold in these colonies, people from all across the world actually wanted to try their luck and wanted to come in and see if they can get their hands on some gold. And this is when the gold rush began. During this time, Chinese people started arriving in Australia. They were the first large group of migrants that were not from Europe. From here, in the next 10 decades, the population of Australia almost doubled. In 1901, on 1st of January, 6 different colonies came together and formed the Commonwealth of Australia, or the Federation of States. And this is when our constitution came into effect, which means that the Parliament, High Court, government were established. In the next video, we will be covering government and laws in Australia, another testable section of your citizenship test. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss the notification when it's out. During this time when Commonwealth of Australia was formed, a wave of non-British migrants also came to Australia after the World War II. The population at that time in Australia was about 4 million. But remember that this population count did not include the Aboriginal and the Torres Strait Islander people. In 1915, on the 25th of April, during the World War I, Australian and New Zealand corps landed in Gallipoli in Turkey. This day is celebrated as the Anzac Day. On this day, we remember the sacrifices that were done by all Australians in wars, conflicts, and peacemaking operations. On this day, we also honor the courage and commitment of all servicemen and women and reflect on many different meanings of war. Anzac Day, which is on the 25th of April, is one of the 2 important days for Australians. The other one is 26th of Jan, which is the Australia Day. From here, during the first half of the 20th century, the migration rebels fell and rose. There were different programs to encourage European migrants to settle here. In recent years, the diversity and population of Australia has increased. Migration programs and refugees programs have brought people from all across the world to Australia. Because of this history, Australia is a nation of migrants. People have come from over 200 different countries, bringing in their culture and their different languages. But English remains the official language of Australia. I've covered this in detail in one of my previous videos on Australian values. If you haven't watched that yet, check that out. We've now covered the section Australia and its people. Let's have a quick recap. Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people were the first inhabitants of Australia. They arrived about 65,000 to 40,000 years ago. Aboriginal people are from mainland Australia and Tasmania, whereas the Torres Strait Islander peoples are from the island between the northern tip of Queensland and Papua New Guinea. They make up around 3% of total Australia's population and have about 100 different languages. We also learned about the difference between welcome to country and acknowledgement of country. Welcome to country is performed by a local Aboriginal or Torres Strait Islander custodian, whereas acknowledgement of country can be performed by anyone. Welcome to the country welcomes the visitors to the traditional land. Acknowledgement of country pays respects to the traditional custodians, elders past and present, and any Aboriginal or Torres Strait Islander people in attendance. Welcome to country can be performed in form of songs, dances, smoking ceremonies, or speeches. It is normally the first item on the agenda to open an event, whereas acknowledgement of the country can be delivered as a part of a welcome speech or as a housekeeping for events or meetings. The difference between these two is important to know for your exam. We also looked at the three main flags of Australia: the Aboriginal flag, the Torres Strait Islander flag, and the Australian national flag. Make sure to remember the colours and their meanings because this is important for your exam as well. We then looked at different national symbols for Australia: the Commonwealth coat of arms, which shows the authority of Commonwealth of Australia; the national flower, which is the golden wattle; national gemstone, the opal; and the national colours, gold and green. We then had a look at Australian history, where the first fleet arrived in 1788. This was then followed by the gold rush in 1851. In 1901, Commonwealth of Australia was formed, also called as the Federation of States. And finally, we covered the 6 states and 2 territories, their capital, icons, and key facts that are important for your test. With this, you've covered Australia and its people. In the next video, we'll be looking at some practice test questions for this section. So make sure to subscribe so that you're notified when the video comes out. Before we wrap up, if this video has helped you even a little bit, make sure to subscribe. It really supports this channel.